Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 2. I hope you're staying safe during this very difficult time. Okay, let's get after it. So, when it comes to the assignments this week, the to do list is right there on Blackboard. It is extremely simple to at least follow the instructions on what you need to do, but maybe some of the complex aspects of what to understand with the assignments I'm going to get into as well. But look at the video, answer the questions, read your web text, join the discussion. I'm going to talk about that immediately, and reflect. Now, when it comes to grading your discussions, this is one of the biggest problems that students have during these classes. Let me be crystal clear. So, with your initial post, what I would do is take out Microsoft Word, write a full page, double space, 12 point font, not 1416 with Times New Roman, and copy and paste that so you know that you have a full page. I like a good full page at least for the initial discussion post. Also include a reference. The reference could initially be from your web text, it can be from me, it can be from the National Institute of Health. I'm going to get into good references in a minute. But it's good to have a reference to back up what you need to do. Respond to at least 2 of your classmates. That is key. If you don't respond to 2 of your classmates, you're not going to get nearly as much credit. When you respond, if you disagree, that's fine. You can always disagree with somebody, but be positive. We don't want to insult anybody. We don't want to, have a dig. You could say respectfully, I think that maybe you should take a look at this, but also just be positive, be clear, be constructive. Okay, that's very, very important, especially when it comes to communication. In the grading rubric that I have to go by at WCU, and I agree with the grading rubric, it asks me, did the student exceed expectations? So many students, if they have to write a 2-page paper, they write 2 pages. If they have to include 2 references, they include 2 references. That's fine, but if you want to exceed expectations and get that A plus work, then write a little bit more. Have a little bit more references. Go into a little bit more detail. Finally, and this is the thing I'm most interested in, with your discussion posts, with your assignments, with your papers, how does all of these methods, theories, or whatever it is that you're discussing affect you? How does it impact you professionally? How does it impact you personally? How does it impact you in some way? You don't have to get too personal, but professionally or personally, how can you use this in your life? All right? Brain functions. That's what this week is about. You've heard the term neurotransmitter. It is very simply a chemical in the brain moving from one end of a nerve fiber to another. That's very simple. I'm sure that a lot of psychologists will say that's too simple. But when you get lost, go back to the simple. Okay, that's what a neurotransmitter is. There are many different kinds of neurotransmitters, and we could discuss it for years. Let me just go over some simple ones. An amino acid, that's what is the building blocks of proteins, but that is absolutely a neurotransmitter. You have peptides, which are chains of amino acids, okay, i.e. kind of proteins, and monoamines, an amino group with an aromatic group. I'll get into that in a minute. But just know that there's different kinds of neurotransmitters. Now, dopamine. I'm sure you've heard this term. What is it? What does it do? It is true that dopamine has to do with the reward center of the brain. It is a neurotransmitter. It comes from the substantia nigra, okay? And when we feel reward, not just from taking drugs, it is true if you take painkillers or some kind, maybe even illegal substance, that it can release dopamine. And that's why people get addicted to it. But you can also have dopamine release from exercise, from feeling pride, from intimacy, from different ways that are natural. It is the reward center of the brain. And when the substantia nigra is damaged, it often causes Parkinson's disease. You should know this as medical practitioners. That's where Parkinson's disease comes from. Okay? And right there is the location, a little bit, of where the substantia nigra happens to be. If you want to look more specifically at the substantia nigra, you can look it up on Google. But that, again, is a quick and dirty look of what dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter, the reward center of the brain, is about. Okay? Moving on. Serotonin. Sure, you've heard of this as well. Is it similar to dopamine? Dopamine is more of kind of like a reward center. Serotonin is kind of a sense of well-being, relaxation, and happiness. Okay? It's not so much being high and like excited, but it's just a sense of well-being and happiness. Okay? It is a monoamine neurotransmitter. And right there is a little bit about what serotonin does for the body, okay, and for us, okay? So, subtle differences between serotonin and dopamine, but they can work in tandem and they can both be increased at the same time, okay? Now, I always have a hard time pronouncing this. I've been pronouncing this for 20 years. Neuroepinephrine, okay? Neuroepinephrine. It is the fight or flight response. So when we feel the need to fight or we get angry or we get scared and we run away, that is what is released in us, okay? Very simple. Finally, epinephrine is adrenaline. There have been stories of moms that the car was not in park and starts to roll towards their child, and they get in front of the car and they're able to stop it. Maybe even breaking bones, but suddenly they have this adrenaline and this incredible strength. That's why psychologists use the term, it's a slang term, called adrenaline superpowers. You know, it's something that we need when we have that fight or flight response. It's released and it makes us stronger, it makes us faster, it can make us more alert in our thinking. All right? That is a hormone from the adrenal glands. Definitely a part of all this brain function system. Now, here are a summary of the neurotransmitters. There are many different kinds of neurotransmitters. Again, we could discuss it for years, but these are the three main ones: dopamine, norepinephrine, always have to say it slow, and serotonin. And right there is a little bit of what each one of these neurotransmitters, what they do for us. So if you ever get lost, this frame right here is a very good frame. Okay? Again, neurotransmitters signal from one end of a nerve fiber to another. These are the main neurotransmitters that are often discussed by psychologists for obvious reasons. So you ever get confused, this is a good summary of what they are about. Okay? Moving on. So one of the things I want to talk about to give you an idea of how neurotransmitters work is I've always found it's very good to talk about SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. I'm sure you've heard of SSRIs before. They are prescription medications for people who are suffering from depression. And basically, they act like a dam. You know, here's a dam that blocks water, and then we can release the water. You know, we have dams for obvious reasons. So I want you to imagine that you have, you know, the serotonin going from one end of a nerve fiber to another. What SSRIs do is that it doesn't allow the serotonin to go back. It blocks it. It kind of creates a dam in the neuron. It creates this kind of wall, if you will. So therefore, the serotonin builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, and then like a dam, it can flush like water, and so you have more serotonin in your system. Again, quick and dirty, very simple explanation. There's a lot more complexities to it, but basically that is the explanation of how these drugs work to help somebody who happens to be suffering from depression. As a medical practitioner, it might be good for you to know this, but it also gives you an idea of how neurotransmitters work and can be manipulated by prescription medication. All right, moving on. All right, let's talk about how maybe this can help you. Not suggesting anybody is depressed, not suggesting any of you are freaked out, but we're living in a pandemic. We're living at the most divisive time that I've seen in my lifetime in the United States and around the world. And this isn't just my opinion. At least 50% of Americans are suffering an 8 out of 10 level of stress, according to the American Psychological Association. Cortisol is what increases in our system when we have stress. It can freak us out. Stress can cause ulcers. It can cause very serious physical problems, lack of sleep, lack of appetite, tightness, migraines, you name it. And in the worst cases, it can lead to heart attacks and different kinds of disease. Not suggesting any of you are stressed. Maybe you're fine. But I guarantee you, according to the studies, that you know somebody who happens to be stressed. And again, being in the medical field might not be a bad idea for you to know these techniques in order to share with these folks some things they can do. Now, I have absolutely no connection with these two different products. No financial connection whatsoever. But this is just an example, a mere example of there are natural supplements that can help reduce stress a little bit. One's called Relora, the other one is ashwagandha. According to the National Institute of Health studies, they reduce cortisol a little bit. Now, are there other things that do it as well? Absolutely. Do your research. Apparently, there's some studies on fish oil. Omega-3 fish oil can help reduce stress a little bit. There are certain multivitamins, certain minerals. So my suggestion is do your research. Here's two things that can help a little bit. Is it a cure? Absolutely not. But can it help just a little bit? Certain kinds of supplements that are natural, over the counter, or you can get it on Amazon, that can help. I'm not suggesting you buy it. I'm suggesting you do your own research and your own critical thinking and see what's out there that actually maybe could help someone that you know to reduce their stress. Now, meditation. For many years, I thought meditation was touchy-feely, silly nonsense. UCLA has determined that meditation actually changes the chemistry of our brain. They did it through brain scan research. It's not touchy-feely, it's hard empirical science. And if you want some guidance on how to meditate, UCLA has a great website right there that you can take a look at and see what you need to do. Basically, if you think about it, if you're just exercising all day long, and you don't let your muscles rest, then your muscles can't grow. Our muscles only grow when we're asleep, as you probably know. It's the same with our brain. We're stressed. Meditation, just removal of all stimulation. Breathe in, breathe out, maybe with some music in a dark room. It gives your brain a rest, treating your brain like a muscle that needs to rest. I know that sometimes we sleep, but sometimes we need to do this in a wakeful state. Once again, the research shows it helps. Exercise. Oh, Todd, I can't exercise because I'm at home. Oh, come on. The National Institute of Health, again, says it reduces cortisol, reduces stress. We can exercise at home. There's a million YouTube videos. You can go on Zoom or something and exercise with your friends. Figure it out. Do exercises that you like if you can. Finally, have a photo of a proud moment. Very specific photo. There's a gentleman who says, well, Todd, I was most proud when I graduated from high school, but I was so dumb, my family forgot to bring a camera. So he had a photograph. I said, go on Google and find a photograph of your high school. He said, good idea. So he has a photograph of his high school. He looks at it. He said it brings him back to that moment, that very specific moment when he got that diploma in his hand. Also have a photograph when you were laughing so hard that you could not even speak. And maybe you don't have a photograph of that moment, but one person said, oh, Todd, I remember, it was my birthday party and my friends came in and they were being silly. And I said, but I don't have a photograph of it. I said, well, just get a photograph of a birthday cake or of that date. He said, good idea. So he found a photograph of a birthday cake with the date of his birthday. And for some reason, that photograph reminds him of that moment when he was laughing so hard he could barely speak. So these are two photographs that represent me. I won't go into what they are, but have those photographs. And when you're stressed out, have that person, that family member, that friend that you can call and describe these moments. And let your friend or family member do the same with you. When you think about your most proud moment, when you think about the moment when you were laughing so hard you couldn't even speak, it's hard to stay stressed. It helps, okay? Now, when you have questions, here's my email, here's my phone number. If I don't answer, I'll call you back. When you do email me or call me and you leave a message, please remind me which class you were taking. I teach more than one class. I just appreciate it. In the meantime, guys, stay safe. You're going to continue to do extremely well. I'm here to help you succeed, and I'll talk to you soon.